Walker Tea Review. We're going to be looking at teas, tasting teas, enjoying teas together. If you are new to the tea tasting experience or simply broadening your horizons, this is the place where you can learn about a little bit of teaware, about a little bit of preparation style, talk about the aspects of tea tasting. And if you want to join, then I suggest do a couple of things. One, right up above there's a green button that says join a tea tasting. You'll find information on things like kettles and equipment and gaiwans, that kind of stuff. You'll also find information on upcoming teas on our future episodes page. If you don't want to invest in a tea by yourself, get with a friend, get with a colleague, get with a family member who's also wanting to learn a little bit. Make it an event. Get together once in a while, or just compare notes after you've tasted together. So you can buy together, split out the order, and taste with friends. Come back and share that experience with us so that we can all kind of learn from each other as well. We've got a pu'er today, and we got a bit of a sample. This is from an eBay company, or a company listed on eBay, and we're going to get this started up. We have our gaiwan. This is a bit of a smaller gaiwan, about 3.5 ounces. Basic, regular old, daily used type teaspoon. We're going to get out about a teaspoon. As you see, if you flatten that out on your teaspoon, that would fill up your spoon. Let me add just a sprinkle more, because we're going to be steeping for a while. Now, I'm going to set that aside. What you'll see here is I'm going to do a quick rinse. With pu'ers, I don't necessarily recommend that you have to rinse with all of your teas, but with a pu'er, it's very helpful to just add enough water so that the leaves are covered there. Let me get out my tea towel to catch any drips. What I'm going to do is just rinse that off. And I have an extra bowl here to catch that water, that rinse water. Because the way pu'ers are, they're laid out for extended periods of time in open air. The leaves are piled up and kind of allowed to age for a while. And because then you're also storing the pu'er, and depending on the humidity, conditions of humidity and other things, it's just nice to be able to get some of that age off the tea. Okay, I almost forgot, got carried away, because now we are going to steep this. And we're going to fill up enough so that when we actually put our lid on, a little bit of water will sit above the lid, just a bit. And that gives us a kind of seal in which that tea is going to steep. As it cools, that will probably suck back down and be below the level of the lid, the rim of the lid. But for now, that's good. Let's talk a little bit about this tea. This is from RedLantern, as we said, and a store you'll be able to find on eBay. This is their 6FamousTeaMtnBanzhangOrganicPu. That's quite a 6FamousTeaMtnBanzhangOrganicPu, and this is a 2000. It's listed as a 2004 tea as well. Let's see. This is an organic. It doesn't, as far as I recall, and my research did not uncover what organic means here. What I'm learning is, and you'll find this as well, organic can have several meanings. You'll want to kind of keep an eye out for who certified it as organic. Is it a European standard of organic? Is it Japanese standard? Is it Chinese standard? Is it USDA organic? There are different organic certification processes which have different standards. The other thing is, you want to be able to look at the company itself to see how it's registered, because depending on the documentation that that organic certification requires, some companies can simply through their channels have a tea certified as organic, whether or not that full process from the ground, from the tea tree to your cup is an organic certified process. So that's something to keep in mind when you hear and see the word organic. Ask about it. Do a little bit of research. How is this tea determined to be organic? This tea, 25 grams, and 25 grams is not a lot. It's about 9/10 of an ounce, just under, like 0.88. So quite a small amount sells for $5 on Red Lantern's website. So let's go ahead and let that steep. Let me check on it for just a minute. That's actually got a pretty nice looking color already. And pu'ers can tend to get strong, so to be on the safe side, I am going to go ahead and pour this. Now, what you'll see me doing here is I'm going to kind of angle this lid over to the side. So I've got an opening here. In the middle finger and thumb are holding onto the rim here. And pour as we need to raise it up. Of course, you can turn it toward yourself for that leverage. Okay, so yeah, that's got a nice rich color, nice smell already too. Don't want to dilly-dally too long because that will cool off pretty quickly. Let's talk a little bit about this dry leaf. You can tell that this was, and the pictures on Red Lantern's website indicate this is off of a large pressed cake, pu'er cake. It does have, there are different ways to look at a tea, a pu'er, or kinds of pu'er, I should say, rather. There are shung, which are raw pu'ers, and those are typically teas that are closer to a greener type of tea that have been pressed and allowed to age or allowed to ferment. And so there's a different process than, say, turning a green into a oolong or turning a green into a black. There's some kind of bacterial process, just like with your yogurt cultures or your wines. This kind of process is taking place. Other pu'ers, they have replicated that aging process in a shorter period of time, and those are called your cooked, your shu pu'ers. This one has those notes of being a tea that was shung or is going through a more natural aging process. That's my impression. It does have a bit of a kind of a straw, hay, age type of soured hay type of smell that's characteristic of some of the teas that I've come across in this category. Okay, so you'll also see that from the cake standpoint, these have been pressed together. You're not getting really long, full-size leaves, and because they've been pressed together and then you have to break that cake apart, it's really difficult to get large pieces of this. Let's go ahead. I think I'm seeing a little bit here, so I'll just pull out a piece here or there. Actually, I'm going to have to dump this into my hand, get out a little bit, because yes, what you're seeing, you do get some kind of needle-looking leaves here. You get some pieces that are part of a leaf here. So instead of having to fight to get that back into the bag, I'm going to put it on this clean paper for now and take care of that momentarily. Let's get to this wet leaf also fairly quickly. These leaves have opened up. Again, that kind of wet, moist, aged hay. I mean, this is some hay that's been sitting around in a damp area. It's not the freshest cut hay. Maybe it's been around all winter, you know. That kind of smell is what's coming off of here. It's very pungent, very rich smell. These leaves, what you're seeing here, a lot of greenness here, a lot of leaves kind of crumpled up. This one's actually going to kind of unfurl, so I think this one's worth, if I can get it open enough, It's definitely worth taking a look at. I'm seeing a little bit of, I'm actually seeing a little bit of reddish color on the edge of this leaf, indicating there's some bruising or oxidation that took place ever so slightly on the edges of this leaf. This one's actually gotten folded in half and just kind of crumpled up, pressed out. But that's a nearly full-sized leaf. At least 3/4 it looks like. What else do we have here? Yeah, we've got other pieces that have unfurled, giving us lighter colors. Now, a note, you will sometimes get a same or similar smell from a green tea that has been steeped, I'll say it's been overused. It's been steeped like 6 to 10 times, and it's a little bit lower quality, and after a while the tea just has this odd taste to it. Or it's a tea, perhaps you've steeped it 4 or 5 times, a green tea that you steeped 4 or 5 times, and then you let it sit in the pot overnight. There's this kind of aged, old smell that the air has gotten to it. The color of the liquor has changed in that teapot that you let sit overnight. Some of those smells I associate with this kind of pu'er. Okay. Now, so you've got portions of leaves. You've got everything from a darker green-blue to more of a yellow-green, depending on the aging that's taking place on this leaf. Okay, let's go with the liquor now before it cools off too much. Again, similar smells that we detected in the wet leaf. This is from Bulong Mountain, or this is where this tea came from, Bulong Mountain area. Known to be reputed to be, has a reputation of being a source of quality teas. So aroma and taste-wise, that dominant factor is that kind of wet hay slash green tea that's sat out overnight. Those are the kind of dominating elements there. Texture-wise, you starts off with this kind of bitter feel, an aftertaste, and as the time extends, it moves over to a sweet, and you're actually getting this kind of sweet with a salivating. You start to salivate here along your lower jaw, especially in the back of your mouth. And so that's and under the very back, the back of your tongue and under. The saliva is starting to pick up and create a reaction to this tea, which sweetens the aftertaste, and makes it much more pleasant. So let's give it another shot. Yes, again, starts off tangy, and a moderate bitterness, some astringency, although, well, I would say a little bit higher than some of the astringency of similar type of pu'ers. But again, that drops off, that bitterness fades into this mouth-watering, tangy sweetness would be the way I would put it. The texture, the feel, there's not a strong kind of silken body or a thick, heavy, creamy type of body to this. So the body is still quite light, but the aftertaste is extended. And the advantage of pu'ers is that pu'ers tell a long story. I mean, you can steep it several times, and you'll start to pick up some of these aspects of the tea will pick up, and some of them will tone down. Generally, they'll stay consistent for longer periods of time, and you'll notice the variations more so towards the end of a series of, say, 11 steepings or so. So definitely something to explore and learn from. There are good qualities about this tea as well, and so because of that sweetness in the aftertaste, that mildness of that initial taste, some of them can be quite off-putting. This one's gentler in its initial tastes and aromas, so that's why we would give this, I give this tea definitely something to try out for yourself. I give this tea a 92. Okay, look at it for yourself, see what scores you give. If you have trouble or are new to tasting pu'ers, you may want to say, is this how it's supposed to taste? Is it really supposed to be this way? Send us some questions, get some interaction going, and we'll share our experiences here at Walker Tea Review.